Welcome to Stem Cell Activators with Dr. Joseph Christiano. Dr. Joe is a naturopathic doctor with over 45 years of experience in natural health. Each show is about one of our 27 different stem cell activators, and today's show will be focusing on the activator for diabetes. Listen and discover how stem cell activators are helping people enjoy a greater quality of life.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Christiano, and welcome to my show. Man, I'm glad you tuned in. I've got a great show today. We've got good information. We're going to be talking about blood sugar issues, diabetes, plus we've got an awesome guest. This man, his name's Marshall, by the way, he's going to share with you his journey of a near-death experience, at least from the condition that he had, to wonderful health today. And later in the show, my wife Lori is going to join me again, and we're going to talk about stem cells, stem cell activators, and how they work and how they can apply to you. You know, if you think about your health, you think about health issues, we deal with symptoms, all kinds of symptoms, whether it's pain, whether it's elevated blood sugar or blood pressure, whatever it is. And after we live with these conditions for so long, we end up going to the doctor, of course. And after we meet with the doctor generally lets us know what they determine and probably give us prescriptions for medications. And so now you start taking your medications. Now, there's nothing wrong with medications, but in the long term, for good health, the best you're going to get out of medications is dealing with symptoms, but they're not going to the root cause. Well, my shows are all about taking stem cell activators, going to the root cause, because to me, as a naturopathic doctor, if I can go to the cause and while you're having these symptoms and dealing with these symptoms, and I can address that, possibly over time, those symptoms start to go away, and the medications you were taking, perhaps we can lower the dosages or eliminate them completely. So I want you to think as we go through this show about taking ownership of your health, taking ownership of your health. And you're going to hear Marshall, our guest, talk about that, because even though he was told by his doctor what to take and how to take and so forth, he still did his research. And I want to challenge you to do your research, because if you don't take care of your health, if I don't take care of my health, no one's going to do it for us. No one's going to do it for us. And if you're in a chronic condition today, then your health is dwindling little by little. Even though you're taking medications, and we talk about that many times, you may get a reading or a blood work panel back to you, and it shows you whether you're in or out of the range of normal, high, or low. But is the root cause being eradicated? Are we taking care of the root cause? And that's what we're going to learn in my show today and all the shows that we do. So listen, right now I want you to call my office. It's 1-800-259-2639, 1-800-259-2639, or go to my website, bodyredesigning.com, and make a decision today. If you call the office, my girls will do the best to answer any question you have. And when you check in, remember we have 27 different stem cell activators to help you with your health. We're going to cut away real quick now to Marshall, but let me tell you something about Marshall real quick. One, he's a Vietnam veteran. And Marshall, I want to thank you for serving. And all the other veterans that are watching, thank you for serving, because our freedoms are so important to us so we can make the right choices. Well, let's cut away now and listen to what Marshall has to say.
Oh, I've been fighting diabetes for about, little over a year or more. The doctor told me, he said, you're going to have to get on insulin. And I asked him why, and he said, well, your insulin is 14, over 14. And I said, is that good or bad? He said, of course, that's bad. My blood sugar was 600, and that was off the charts. And I says, you know, I don't really want to be on insulin where I have to shoot needles and all this stuff. And he says, well, you're going to have to, because this will kill you if you don't. I was devastated. I was sad. I didn't like what he had told me. It was the truth, but I still didn't like it.
Isn't that amazing? I could tell just by the words he said, he was devastated. He was scared. You know, when we get news like that, if you don't take care of yourself, or if you don't get on medication, you're going to die. I mean, that's pretty serious. And I want to tell you something. This is why it's so important to take ownership of your health, because I would not allow any one person, male or female, tell me what my destiny is. Marshall heard what his destiny was, and that was he could die if he didn't take the insulin. Well, Let's see how this progresses and what Marshall did with what he had from his doctor.
Well, I researched everything that the doctors was giving me. The meds had too much wrong with it. It was more like to manage your problem rather than solve it. I happened to see Dr. Christiano on television, and he caught my eye basically, and I decided to try his product and see if it really worked. The stem cell activators, that was something new to me, and I didn't feel that I knew enough about it, but I felt that he did. So I listened to him, very intently. Matter of fact, Dr. Joe Christiano's book outlines what would basically work in diabetes. I use the pancreas stem cell activator. I use the kidney stem cell activators. I wanted to make sure that the stem cell activators worked. And so therefore I decided to do it religiously to make sure that the product was doing its job for me.
Man, Marshall reminds me of the 21st century patient. That 21st century patient is the patient that is doing their research. The doctor tells them, you have such and such and you need to take this, and you may have to take it for the rest of your life. Okay, the 21st century patient, what they do is they go out and do some research. They're looking for alternatives. They're looking for alternative ways. And Marshall, by what he told us, is he heard me talking about stem cell activators. Though he didn't know much about it, he read my book, he watched the shows, and he made a decision. He made it an intelligent decision to try an alternative, a natural means of treating his condition to see what the results would be. So we're going to find out more about that shortly.
The first month, a little over the first month, I was 14. Then I went to 11. And I said, wow. And I hadn't been taking my metformin. I'm not saying that people should do this, but I did this. And I felt my energy coming back. So therefore I said, no, I'm gonna ride this out. So I wrote it down to 11. And I went in and talked to the doctor, and he says, yeah, you're doing fine. You done came from 14 to 11. Man, I don't know what's going on, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And I said, fine. So I kept doing it. I kept doing the activators, and I did change my diet. The next doctor's appointment was 6/6. Now that is very good. And I says, well, doc, what do you think? And he says, well, have you been taking your medicines? And I says, no. And he says, why not? I said, because I don't need it. And he says, you don't? He says, well, I think that you need to take it. I said, I don't think so. So the doctor, after all he told me that I should take the medicines and what have you, I says, well, if it's working and my A1C is going down, my blood sugar is fine, why would I need to take any? Everybody that's a diabetic should research the medicines before they take them and see what the side effects are. And then if there's an other alternative, which it was for me, Dr. Christiano was my other alternative. Well, it worked for me. The best that I can do is show my medical records and how long it took for me to get from A to B. I owe a great deal for the research that the people did, and I have not had one iota of one side effect since I've been doing the stem cell activators.
Man, Marshall's a man after my own heart. He tells his doctor, I'm not going to take the medicine. I'm not saying you shouldn't too, but you heard what he said. And what I liked about it, what I like about Marshall is he's done his research, and it's great. And he said the only way he can really prove what he's saying, what he's experienced by taking the stem cell activators, is his blood work. Well, he was willing to send it to us. You know, that's pretty amazing. I didn't ask for it, but he wants people to know that there are alternatives like the stem cell activators that can help them. You got to understand the numbers that he's talking about. When he says I was at 14, his A1C, the highest that they can record is 14. When the doctor says it's 14, it could have been 15, it could have been 20, because they have no way of testing it. And with his blood sugar at 600, that man was a walking time bomb. He could have gone into a diabetic coma at any time. So he makes a change, and it's the stem cell activators, right? That's the only change he made. In fact, his doctor said, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I love that, because the people that take stem cell activators and they get wonderful results, their doctors always say that to them. Well, anyway, let me read to you what he said as far as reiterating it. In November last year, November the 9th, his A1C was 14 plus. He started the activators. In December the 23rd, right, it's down to 11.6. Now, in February the 17th this year, it's down to 6.6. Listen, he is a scotch above being normal. He's borderline diabetic right now, and he was full-blown diabetic. And the only thing he did, besides changing his eating, making food choices is key, that's part of healthy living, but he took ownership of his health, and he started with the stem cell activators. And the proof is in the pudding. We could see it in his blood work. He says he had more energy. He didn't need to take the medication because he's going, I feel good, why should I? And so here's an example of somebody who takes ownership of their health, somebody that is willing to try other natural alternatives instead of medication. Now, again, I'm just going to say this, I'm not putting down the medical community or anything like that, because we need that. But long-term healthy living, we want to go as natural as we can. So I want to thank Marshall. I just love that testimony. It's so powerful. I hope people that heard that are going to be encouraged. In fact, what I'd like you to do right now is call my office, 1-800-259-2639, 1-800-259-2639, and talk to one of my girls there. They are very informed, and they'd be glad to help you out. Or go to my website, bodyredesigning.com, bodyredesigning.com. And when you check in, remember we have 27 different stem cell activators to help you with your health. Well, listen, we got to move on now. We're going to go into a section with my wonderful wife, Lori. We're going to break down more of this stem cells and stem cell activators. But let me give you a little intro to how this works. So if you've never heard this before, you're probably going, what are stem cell activators? Well, let me tell you what stem cells are. We are born with stem cells. We're talking about adult stem cells and not embryonic. So your adult stem cells have one or two jobs, and that's all. And what they are is to come into an area that has been damaged, that's tissue or cells, and repair them. They come in and they repair tissue. So if you had a physical trauma, if you had an accident, a fall off your bike, a sports injury, you heal by your stem cells coming to action and healing the tissue, and you recover. Then, over time though, what happens is through time itself, injuries, sickness, disease, or whatever, these stem cells don't function like they once did before, and consequently, you have a nagging, or what we like to call a chronic condition. So now we medicate, but here's an alternative, the stem cell activator. Now the activators do not heal, they do not cure, they do not treat a condition. What they do is they simply rejuvenate your stem cells so that your stem cells can go back to functioning normal, and that is to rejuvenate the tissue, to repair the tissue that's been damaged so that it can return back to normal function. Now keep in mind, results vary for everybody. But today we got to see Marshall's results, which were fantastic. Well, listen, it's time to move on. Lori and I are now going to delve deeper into stem cells, stem cell activators, and also some testimonials to help you be more encouraged and inspired. Hi, I'm Dr. Joe Christiano, and with me is my sidekick and wife, Lori.
Hi.
Listen, we are here to share with you some really good information about our stem cell activators, and in this case, it has to do with the pancreas. And we know the pancreas has a direct effect on sugar control, insulin response, glycogen and glucogen and so forth. But we're going to talk about some topics like diabetes and things that are very common, but yet they shouldn't be a part of our physiology today. We have so many people that call us, Lori, and you probably know this better than I, who are dealing with diabetes, you know, their A1C levels and things like that, and how to monitor them, but they're not getting relief. You know, that's the thing that is real puzzling, not just in my mind, but for a typical patient, because across the board, when we have an ailment or a condition or a disease, we're dealing with conventional medicine. And the conventional medicine approach to a condition is to focus primarily on the symptoms. Mm-hmm. If you have a pain, you take something for the pain. If you have a swelling, we're going to reduce the swelling. But the root cause is really should be the focus point. That's what we should be targeting. Yes. And so the activators that we're talking about today, the pancreas is really the one that we're finding some really wonderful results.
I'm going to read you the possible applications for this particular activator. This is called PANC for pancreas, and it's for anybody who has diabetes or blood sugar issues. We have a lot of people who call in and say, my blood sugar is crazy, but I don't want to go on any medications, or I don't want to go on any insulin. I don't want, and I'm like, you've got to do something. There's no negative side effects to taking the activators. It's all natural, they're all plant-based. They're little drops you put in water, and what happens is it doesn't interfere with medications or supplements, so there's no negative side effects to taking them. But I'm going to read the possible applications of who should be on the pancreas stem cell activator. It's PANC for pancreas. It helps regulate intracellular communication and supports cellular and tissue regeneration of the pancreas. Supports body's natural ability to regulate blood sugar. Possible applications: pancreatitis, diabetes support, pancreatic insufficiency, degenerative and pathological conditions, etc. Even people with pancreatic cancer have taken these with one of our other activators that we recommend. But our office can always help suggest which ones would be good for whatever condition you've got. But it's been really amazing what all it can help with. Sure.
And you know, another thing is, you read this, but the tissue, the pancreatic tissue gets damaged over time. And in many cases, our stem cells, those are our genetic material that's given to us at birth, which are our body's natural cellular tissue healing mechanisms, okay? So if you have a trauma, if you have some physical damage to your body, or if you have even like a degenerative illness like diabetes or any kind of degenerative illness, the stem cells rush into that particular system or organ, and it's called differentiation, and they become those cells, and they can heal those cells. But over time, the aging process, our stem cells are not functioning up to par. In fact, they have an inability to signal to one another, which causes your tissue, in this case, the pancreatic tissue, to be damaged. And so you have a litany of these symptoms, and now we start addressing the symptoms. But Lori's going to share some testimonials about people who, once they took the activator, the pancreas activator, they started to see the symptoms or some of the symptoms dissipate, and that's the goal, because even if it takes months for you to get out of the woods, so to speak, if you're moving towards healing, if you're moving towards repair, you're heading in the right direction. Because if you're not, then you're heading for destruction through the degeneration process. We either take care of ourselves or we start to degenerate. And this is very, very cutting edge technology, and it goes to the root cause, rejuvenates your stem cells, so the stem cells can go, in this case, work on the damaged tissue in the pancreas, and hopefully get that pancreas back to normal function.
A lot of times people want to know how long it takes before it starts to activate. You know, we tell everybody, we don't know. It takes time. We say give it at least 3 months to 6 months. But the key is to watch your A1C numbers. Sure. If you're going back to your doctor and you get your numbers checked, that's where you're going to find out how you're doing. And we always say at least give it 90 days.
Yeah. Well, you know, Lori, if they would monitor, you know, that's the best way to prove it. You know, you can hear what we're saying here and educate you on how they function and the reports that we get back from people that are taking them. But I think where the rubber meets the pavement, or the acid test, is in this case, you can go have your A1Cs tested. And so if you started off, if you have an issue with your pancreas or maybe you're diabetic, you may have your A1C number now. If not, I would recommend you go get a number.
Yes.
And you start at that point with the activator, then you can have a periodic retest and see and compare the numbers.
Yes.
And if you're moving in the right direction, which hopefully you would be, then you're on the right track to recovery. And if it takes months, who cares? Because you got the rest of your life to live, but it's living a quality of life that matters. Hey, Laura, let me take a minute to let the people know how to get a hold of us. Call our home office at 1-800-259-2639. That's 1-800-259-2639. And you're going to talk to one of my body redesigning angels. I tell you what, they will take very good care of you. Or you can go to the website, bodyredesigning.com, bodyredesigning.com. And when you check in, remember we have 27 different stem cell activators to help you with your health.
And I had actually a lady, she called in the other day, I think it was last week, and she was saying that she's been on the activators for 4 bottles. And when she started, her blood sugar number was in the 200s.
Wow.
After the first bottle, she checked it, and it was at 170.
Okay. Wow, that's a good.
Second bottle, she checked it, it was at 150.
Let me interject this. When Lori's saying 4 bottles, and after 1 bottle, and after the next bottle, we're talking about possibly a month or less. Because the bottle, if you're taking 20 drops a day, what are you going to get?
About
maybe
25 days.
25 days. So almost less than a month, her numbers went from 200 to 170. I mean, come on. They weren't moving before, but in the wrong direction.
No.
Right?
Nothing was working for her. She just was so miserable. Then she went down to 150, and then when she called to reorder some of the products, she called and said, my number's been at 130.
Wow.
And she's so excited because it's almost like every bottle she was experiencing a 20-point drop.
But you know, also, it's not medication. That's the wild thing. Like Lori said, these are plant-based, okay? And the specific plants have a frequency that addresses one or all the organs in our body. And so that's how these are basically formulated in a nutshell. But if you're seeing these numbers drop down, if in this case, this woman, she's at 200. She's not doing anything different. Nothing different except for taking the activator. And all of a sudden she's seen an improvement in her readings. That means her pancreas is working better. So there's a healing process going on. Now I want to just say this here, Lori, before you read some testimonials. The activators do not heal. The activators do not repair. The activators activate and rejuvenate your stem cells. And once they're back up to par in their function, and that is cellular communication, then they do their job, and that is to repair tissue. So obviously, if you have an organ that's dysfunctional, you're going to have symptoms, and the medical community can test you for a symptom. In this case, she starts taking the activator for her pancreas, and the numbers start to decline. And that's the direction you want to go if you want to improve. And so the healing effect is taking place because her stem cells are being reactivated.
It's such a common problem is diabetes.
Very common.
It's sad that how many people have to deal with insulin and I get people who say, I'm so tired of poking myself. I'm so sick of it. I just don't even want to do it anymore. And we're always saying, no, don't stop what you're doing. Start taking what we have here and then go back to your doctor and let them adjust your medications because the pancreas is so important. It affects so much in the body. So we get people with neuropathy pain who can't see. Their vision is being affected. Their kidneys are being shut down. They're going to go on dialysis. And we're like, do something easy.
You know, it's kind of like my mother, Mom. She had diabetes for 18 years. And so she too was having problems with kidney failure. But when she started the activator for her pancreas, I told her how to take them, 20 drops a day on an empty stomach, a little bit of 2 ounces of water. And religiously she did that. And about 3 or 4 months down the road, she had another blood draw. And the doctor said, Helen, your numbers are improving. Let's drop your insulin by 50%. That's a 90-year-old woman.
I was going to say, she's 90.
Woman. Yeah. And so when that happened, this was in the early days of my discovery and research on these activators, I was so convinced that if a 90-year-old who's deteriorating, okay, I hate to say that, but as we get older, our body's deteriorating. And here's a 90-year-old recovering just like that. And I had to tell the world.
I know, it's exciting.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
it's
exciting.
People ask us, well, how, I'm in my 80s, or they'll even say I'm in my 60s or 70s. I'm like, you're young. We have people in their 90s and 100s calling us.
You're not too old to heal.
No, your body can still help you. And we always tell people, don't give up on trying to do something good for your body. Don't stop helping yourself. Don't expect your doctors to have all the answers. It's up to you to find more things that can help you, feel better.
And so when you take the activators, what you're actually doing is you're going to the very root cause. And the root cause is obviously causing all the symptoms. And we repeat ourselves, but that's the key. But if you're going to a caretaker or a healthcare provider who is only treating symptoms, you're not going to improve. There is no scientific documentation or medical proof that any medication will heal your body or heal a system or repair tissue. It only treats the symptoms. And so this technology, which is very cutting edge, and I'll guarantee you, if you go to your physician and say, I was thinking about taking stem cell activators, he or she probably never heard of them yet. This is something that is revolutionary. It's just like stem cell therapy, very revolutionary. Even though it's been around for a few decades now,
30 years.
We're finding now that the God-given genetics, the God-given genetic material that we have in our body, science and medicine is learning now, if we can extract our own tissue, in this case we'll say stem cells, re-inject them into an area, a joint or something, it'll heal itself. In this case, we're talking about reactivating stem cells that are no longer functioning properly, which is causing us this, we'll say, chronic or nagging condition. And so through that, it's almost, in some cases, Lori, and it's not in every case, but in many cases, the reports we get is near miraculous. Listen, they're all natural, but they're extremely powerful. They are very powerful, but they're harmless. There's no side effects. They won't interfere with medications or supplements or anything like that. And that's why I'm such an advocate. I'm a user myself, by the way. I take them for my own self. But listen, when I recommend them to my mother, I'm going to recommend them to anybody, okay? Because I know it's not going to hurt her,
Yes.
But listen, even though we've been brief but direct in giving you some information, feel free to go to our website or call our 800 number. The whole idea is to be more educated, more informed. And once you have this knowledge, once you have this information, now you know if it's you or a loved one or a friend that's struggling with an issue and they're contemplating, should I go to the doctor, should I have surgery, should I go on medication? Now you have some more information that is evidence-based that's helping people throughout the United States. So it's up to you to make that decision. So I would encourage you very much, if it should come to that you move in that direction.
Since the taping of this show, we have received Marshall's most current blood work results. His A1C is down to 5.5, which makes him non-diabetic. Marshall has gone from being a diabetic to a non-diabetic status in only 6 months.
If you would like to order our Stem Cell Activators or Dr. Christiano's book, Stem Cell Revolution, please call 1-800-259-2639 or go to our website at bodyredesigning.com. And while there, you can click on the TV radio tab for all our shows.